Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Perumal Jegan. I'm so happy to be here. Today it's going to be another malware analysis video, and I collected a malware sample from Malware Bazaar. It's an Excel document. Hopefully, it carries some macros, and I'm gonna uncover that sample and showcase you what is the spooky behavior that the sample possesses. And it's going to be an interesting video, and as well as it's going to be a long video. So stay tuned. Without wasting a time, let's begin. Now I am in Remnux Linux distribution, a Linux distribution exclusively made for malware analysis and reverse engineering. So always make sure if you're doing malware analysis, you are doing it from an isolated environment for your safety. And let's see what is the sample we have got. I created a folder called malware, and within the folder, I'm holding my sample. This is the file hash value, and with .xlsm extension. If you have no idea about the extension, you may Google it to understand. And let's see what it is. XLSM is the file extension that is assigned to spreadsheets created by Microsoft Excel 2007 and newer. So let's see what type of file it is by using the file utility. Don't trust the file extension. The file extension can be deceiving sometimes. So it is Microsoft Excel 2007 plus. So the same statement given here. They are saved using the OpenXML standard, just like older version of the Excel spreadsheet. XLSM can contain tables and worksheets. Another difference is the XLSM sheets can carry macros with it. Macros are a special feature, created by Microsoft, which is used by Microsoft Office documents, and the macros are often be abused by threat actors to spread the malware. And this sheet also contains some macros in it. The yum in that file extension itself denotes macros. And if you see this definition, you may understand the main difference between the XLSM and the XLS file type is XLSM files contains macros and XLS does not. So this is the definition of this file type. Now we got to know this file contains macros, but we need to find a way to extract the macros from this file. And for that, I may use the tools, OLE tools. The OLE tools are specially designed for dealing with the MS Office documents, and it is made by, it is made by using Python programming language. So I am using OLE ID against this document. Let's see what is the outcome. So here it says the file name and the indicator value OLE format false. The file is not in OLE format, but it is OpenOffice XML form. So that is what the Google itself was showing. So I have so many other tools to check this particular Excel document. But before that, let me do one thing here. XLSM document is nothing but uh, it's a file contains a file system. So let me clarify this. So first of all, I'm copying and I'm simply copying it and pasting it as a zip file. I simply took a copy and changed the extension. So here now it is a zip file. I'm checking the file type, still the file type is same. And I try to unzip this file and with unzip utility and -QQ to quit the operation and -D to dice to create the directory. And the directory I am giving the same name directory and the file name, the zip file. Now I'm giving enter. I can see a new folder has been created. It's a folder, it's a directory. So if I try to open this directory, I can see a list of files and folders here. So let me use the tree utility against this directory to showcase how a typical XLSM file will look like. So here you can see it contains list of files, and most of the files are with .xml extension. So this is why we are saying this specific XLSM file is OpenOffice XML format. And you can see there are bunch of files being used to build this XLSM file. So that is why we call this XLSM file is made up of a file system, a list of files. We are simply sandwiching the list of files and making this XLSM file. That is the concept here. So let's see what sort of contents we have here. If you see any directory, it must contain at least one file with .xml extension. And this is the first file, content types.xml, the typical file in the default directory, I mean the root directory. And if I go further, I can see some spooky stuff here. Uh, a folder called macro sheets. And within the macro sheets, I can see three sheets here and one folder. And in this sheet, sheet1.xml, sheet2.xml, and intl sheet1.xml. So these sheets seems to be spooky. And if I scroll down further, I can see some other documents as well. I can see workbook.xml.rels and all. So this is how a typical XLSM file will look like. So this is how it is being built. So let me use other OLE tools. What I can use, I'll try to use OLE dump against this XLSM file. Let's see what happens. No ILE file, no OLE file was found inside zip container. So this is not an OLE file. Since it is OpenOffice XML, we cannot use OLE dump against this file. But I can use OLE VBA against this file. So let me use the same tool, OLE VBA, and the file name. Here I can see it displays the spooky stuff. If I see the tabular column at the bottom, it gives the suspicious factors within this document. It says the file contains text strings, text encoded strings were detected. We may use hyphen hyphen decode to decode it, and base 64 strings also found, and it is XLM macro sheet. XLM macro sheet is found. That is what we have seen before. When we were checking that file system, the file directory, we found macro sheets folder, right? So that is what it is displaying. So let me use hyphen hyphen decode option to get the decoded output, and I'm storing everything in olevba.out file for later analysis. Now I got everything in this specific file. So let me highlight its syntax. It is VBScript, and I'm highlighting it. If you see here, it clearly says the file type is OpenXML, OpenOffice XML, and VBA macros. Again, the same folder it is showing. In Excel folder, in macro sheets folder, intl sheet1.xml contains macros, and the second sheet, sheet1.xml, this also contains macros, and sheet2.xml also contains macros. So if I enable the word wrap, I can see the content of each macro file. If I scroll down, I can see here it is typical document reference. It is simply referring the Microsoft site for some functionalities. And if I scroll a little bit further, here is the juicy stuff that we need. I can see some spooky, different, weird stuff in this. If I scroll down a little bit further, I can see in the second sheet, sheet1.xml simply contains the same sort of reference. It is simply referring to Microsoft.com. Nothing spooky stuff is here. And if I scroll a little bit further, the same thing. Sheet 2 also contains nothing juicy info. So all I need is, I need to handle this intl sheet1.xml. So this is what we will be handling. So let's try to move to this folder and copy this file, and it is within the directory. And this is what the sheet that I need, and I'm simply copying this sheet into the folder malware, and I'm storing it as VB macros, simply macros.vbs, Visual Basic Script. All right, now let me move to the folder. So here is the file that I need to use. I am enabling word wrap. Perfect. Now I am going to highlight, I'm going to comment it out the rest of the things. If I scroll down further, so this is the stuff that we need to analyze. So here is our Visual Basic macros. So let's try to analyze what it is. I'm simply copying these files and putting it in a new document and saving it as stage1.vbs. Perfect. Now let's try to understand what it is. Um, if I look this, it looks like Excel formula. Formula. I mean, these characters and this specific number denotes the Excel sheet, the specific cell in the Excel sheet, and also the formula function simply denotes the Excel formula. And I can see some weird characters here, and ampersand amp. It is nothing but the ampersand character is being used in Visual Basic Script for concatenation. If you have doubt, you can check this. You can enclose string with double quote characters. You use the ampersand operator to concatenate the strings. So this ampersand amp is simply used for concatenating, and this specific semicolon, we can consider it as a line break operator. It is not doing anything, but we can use this to break the line for our easy understanding. So I'm going to search and replace it with colon and new line. So let me replace all. So here I can see some juicy stuff here, and I cleared this. So here is somewhat readable now, user friendly. Now let's try to read what exactly it is doing. So here it is. The formula function is being used often in a specific interval. All right. Now let's try to understand this. This specific characters, we don't know what it is, and this is the shell, and ampersand amp is for concatenation. Now let's try to open that sheet to understand this better. Since it is referring the shell, I mean, since it is referring the cell, we can check what exactly present in that cell. So let's try to open. Here we go. We loaded this xlsm file in LibreOffice, the Excel reader. This sheet looks like it contains nothing. So let me go here and try to copy this cell address and apply here. If I move to that cell, I don't see anything. There is no cell content here. But you can see, you can note down one more thing here. I'm not sure you are able to see this or not. At the bottom, it gives the sheet number, sheet 2 of 6. It means this sheet contains two sheets within this particular workbook, but only one sheet we can see. What could be the reason? The reason is the rest of the sheets could be hidden. So let's try to uncover that. If I right click, and I can see an option show sheet. If I click this, here I can see all the sheet names VFRBUK1. And if I see this, the specific random strings are nothing but the sheet names. So that is what given here. So let me try to unhide all these sheets. Perfect. Now I'm moving to that specific sheet. So here I can see some contents are given here. And if I keep cursor over this cell, I immediately getting some juicy stuff. It denotes some URL here. So we will come to this part later. Before that, let's try to understand how it is being read. I mean, it is being read. So here it is referring the sheet, and P22 is the shell. So I need to go to that specific sheet. So here I am, and the specific shell, if I go, I can see a formula CHAR inside the bracket 66 minus 5, 61. So CHAR in the bracket, it is 61. So let me try to understand what is CHAR function in Excel. I am Googling it, understand the function. CHAR function in Excel is the function that returns character specified by the code number, also called ASCII code, from the character set of your computer. Character is categorized as string text function. It takes ASCII value as an input number. It gives the character associated with ASCII value as output. So, what is char function in Excel? Again, once again, there is a definition. Here is an example. For example, CHER10 returns a line break and can be used to add line break to text in a formula. So let's try to open this specific link and understand CHER function better. So here they gave some example. So if they give CHER 65, it gives A. It's nothing but it is simply converting from character code to ASCII code. And we can simply convert this by using our Python command prompt, command line. I am simply entering into the Python command line, Python shell. From here, I can use the function called CHR. And within CHR, if I give the same number 65, I should get A as output. So let me enter. Yeah, here it is. It is giving the A. So it is nothing but it is converting the character code to ASCII code. And if I give 97, it should give me small a. Yes, it is. So this is what this specific CHER function is doing. It is simply referring the CHER 61. So let me try and understand what is 61. It is equal symbol. Okay. Now, if you see this specific macro sheet, we are having so many so many cell reference. We should refer so many sheets and so many cells to understand or to derive the contents here. But it is a tedious job to do manually. But to make our work easier, we have another option here. I can use Python program to speak with the Excel spreadsheet and collect the cell value. And for that, I'm going to write up a Python program now. Let's create the document first. I'm saving it as Excel prober.py, a Python script. And yeah, and in this script, I'm going to use a Python module called OpenPyXL. And if you have no idea about that Python module, here you can see I'm browsing about that OpenPyXL Python. So if I scroll down a little bit, I can see some useful blog to understand the Python module. Excel automation with Python. Here they give the simple Python program to probe the Excel sheet, and they are simply referring the Excel sheet, creating the new workbook, and getting the first active worksheet, and reading the worksheet from here, and getting its title, and also making change to that workbook, and also reading data from the workbook. You can write the data to workbook, and you can access individual cells over that spreadsheet and workbook and iterating through rows and columns. So here they gave all the information about this OpenPy Excel module in detail. So we are going to use this specific module to probe the Excel sheet that we have. And without wasting time, let's try to build the program from OpenPy Excel. I already installed OpenPy Excel module in the system. So if you wish to install, simply use the command pip3 install OpenPy Excel. Okay, and OpenPy Excel dot workbook import workbook. The W is capital. And the next line again from open py excel import load workbook. So this is how you have to pull the specific function from that library. And here we pulled it. Now the next thing is we need to call the specific worksheet. We have to call this specific worksheet, right? So that's what we need to do now. Now, Python is an object-oriented program. So I'm creating an object here, WB, and here I am going to load the workbook. And within the bracket, it's a load workbook function. And inside the colon, single colon, I'm going to mention the path and mentioning the sheet name. So I'm keeping both the script as well as the sheet in the same directory. Hence, I'm not mentioning the directory here. If you are keeping the script in different place, then you can mention it with the path name path. So this is the path, and I am also mentioning it with path. Without the path, mentioning the file name alone is okay since both the script and the file is in the same directory. So now I pulled out this specific workbook into this script and it is loaded in the WB object. Now, if I want to know the sheet names, if I want to get the sheet names here, I can simply use print function WB calling that object dot sheet names. Let me save this and run. Here I can see this Python script probed this document and fetched all the sheet names present. So these are the sheet names here. So this is how we need to interact with the sheet. And if I say this script, it is actually probing all the different sheets here, JE2 and another sheet, another sheet. It is probing so many sheets here. So this particular WB's object hold the entire workbook, but we need to probe each and every sheet separately. So for that, what we are going to do is we are going to create separate object for each sheet. I defined object names here, and I am again referring the WB object, and within the square bracket, within the double quotes, I am mentioning the sheet name. So I am referring the whole workbook, and within the workbook, I am referring this specific sheet, and I am putting the content of this specific sheet within this same named object, and the same thing I need to do for rest of the objects. All right. Now we brought each and every sheet in an object, and let me showcase how to probe each and every cell value here. So in order to showcase, I'm simply using this as an example. We got some spooky URLs right from this specific sheet, and I also got the cell value is G18. and the sheet name is LEFASBOR1. So this is the sheet, and the cell value I already keep it in my clipboard. So what I can do is I can call the print function, and the sheet name that I need to refer, and within the square bracket double quotes I need to call the cell address. So here is the cell address. I'm saving it and I'm running control B to execute the program. So here I can see it is printing the output for this one, and later it prints the cell address, simply the sheet name and the cell address. But we need to print the value present in that cell, right? So for that, a simple modification we need to do is nothing but after this square bracket, I'm adding dot and value. So I'm saving it once again. I am simply commenting it out, saving it once again, and control B to execute. So here I can see it simply queried the cell and probed that value here, G18. So this is the URL we found, and my program itself gave me that value. So this is the program we are going to use to probe all these cell and its values. So let's try to do that. It might take some time, so let me try to do it a little bit faster. So here is the list of cell address. So let me try to add it here, and instead of this comma, I can replace it with, I mean, instead of the semicolon, I can replace it with comma. So let me do that. And this specific exclamatory mark, I'm replacing it with square bracket and opening double quote. Control Alt Enter to replace all, and ampersand AMP. So instead of this, I'm going to replace closing quotation, closing square bracket, dot value. Control Alt Enter. So here we got the same format: sheet name, cell address, dot value, and at the end I need to do the same, dot value. I'm closing the bracket. Now it looks fine. Control B. Uh, a warning. So I must have removed this single quote. Now it looks better. So let me save it again and press Control B. There is one more error I got. So here it contains two cell address. So I can separate it as a different query. So let me try to separate this. Yeah, now it is better. Perfect. Now let me save this and press Control B again. Here is the outcome. I can see the character 66 minus 5. It is simply the cell value, and here I can see the values present in rest of the cells. So I'm simply copying this and pasting it over here. Like this, I need to do for rest of the entries. So let's try to do that. Okay, now it looks better. Here is the outcome. And the next stuff, and closing this dot value. All right. A syntax error. I missed a comma here. So if I execute, here I got the. So I'm pasting it here. Like this, I need to do for the rest of the entries. Here everything is same. I'm going to perform the same action till the end. There are few more execution that I need to do. So let me pause the video here and accomplish these stuffs. Now, by using this specific Excel prober Python script, I probed all these cell by using the cell addresses, and I found its values and pasted it here. So I splitted the specific cell addresses and pasted the value beneath it, just to understand. So here for this cell address, I pasted the value here. Like this, each and every cell address set, I pasted its respective value at the bottom. I mean, beneath to that cell address itself. So this is how I formatted, and I did that for all the cell addresses till the bottom. And now I can save this as stage 2. All right. Now what we can do, if I see this cell value, probed value here, I can still see some character code, and also I can still see some cell reference once again. So what we can do is we can again apply the same Excel prober to probe this cell address and find its cell value. And you can see these things, it is referring the cell address, sheet number and the cell address, but at the bottom I can see it gives me the juicy URL. And if I scroll a little bit further, the same kind of stuff here, and at the bottom I can see another URL. If I scroll a little bit further, I can see the same stuff. I need to probe the cell, and at the bottom I can see juicy URL. Like this, I can see few URLs. If I scroll a little bit further, here the pattern is different. It is simply probing the cell and some character, character function reference. Okay, now let's try to decode this specific stuff here. You can see the cell reference before this equal sign, and I already decoded that as well. So let me try to decode this. Okay, here it is. And if I probe, it is giving me xlsm dot Arabic within the double quote. It states CI. So let me mark this value here. So let's try to understand what this specific line denotes. XLSN Arabic. Underscore XLSN dot prefix is displayed in front of function of formula. When the formula is calculated, it displays hash name error value. So this is just a query regarding an error. Let's refer some other link. And here I can see underscore xlfn dot Arabic future function. The predefined function. So it is a defined function in Microsoft page. So it looks like it's a defined function. So let's try to read this specific character set. So I'm creating a new script called uh, character decode dot py, and I'm simply pasting this stuff. Control F H, replacing equal character. Instead, I'm placing chr, and Control Alt Enter to replace all. And I'm putting everything inside a print function, and I can see the space here. Control F H and backward slash s to denote the space in regular expression, and I am replacing it with comma. Control Alt Enter once again. Now let me execute this. If I execute, I can see the output here is equal CALL, and that is what this specific line denotes. So it is actually referring this equal call. And let me try to probe this. Doing some alignments here. Perfect. Now let me perform the same thing once again. Excel prober I'm using. And here is the value. Let me add it here. enabling word wrap. And instead of ampersand, I need to add the stuff plus comma. Control Alt Enter, Control FH. Instead of exclamation mark, I need to replace square bracket and double quote. So closing double quote dot value at the end. Perfect. Now, if I run, I'm getting the outcome here. So I'm simply appending it with this. Like this, I'm doing for rest of the two lines here. I made a mistake here. Let me verify what it is. Yeah, perfect. Now we simply probed all these cell addresses and found the values here. Everything is character code. So let's try to decode this. It might be tedious or it might be difficult to understand, but if you practice this, it will be very easy for you. So let me replace these equal CHER. Instead, I'm simply placing small letter CHR. That is the function, replacing all and adding everything within the print function. And the space value, I'm replacing it with comma. Perfect. Now I'm saving, pressing Control B to execute this. When I execute, I'm getting this particular value. URL mon, comma, URL download to file A, JJCCBB. So this is what this specific cell address represents. So let me try to add that, and I am appending it with this specific URL. And I need to do few more probing. So let's try to do that. and it is time consuming. You need patience to do this. So on last part, I believe. Okay, we got this. Finally, we got some character function. So here we are. Let's try to perform the same conversion from character key to hash key. And I'm performing from replacement. Now we converted this. So let's try to find the output. So here I can see the rest of the part. So this is what I will be appending here. So here I can see the complete line once it is done. So this is the complete function, and it looks like it is calling URL mon and URL download to file A JJCC some random characters and the URL, and it is downloading from this URL and storing it as dan.ocx. So that is what it denotes. So this is the first line till this none, none till the word none. And if I scroll little bit further, I can see the same sort of pattern. The first four characters and a random character here. Once again, the same sort of cell probing and same URL, and again same sort of probing. So let me try to probe this alone once again. When I probe, I got this particular value. So let me try to get the ASCII for this. And once again, replacing instead of space, comma, and control B, it is if statement. So what it is doing, I'm simply adding the if statement before this specific string. Ampersand is just concatenation, hence I'm removing this. If I probe this specific stuff, I can get this string. So let me try to probe these cell addresses and find its value. I'm pausing the video here. I'll try to probe these cell addresses and get the value. If I look at this specific cell address probing, after I probed its value and decoded it to ASCII, I found this specific statement equal the specific random string less than 0, then call after that this specific cell probing. And this specific cell probing is nothing but it is same as this statement, which means it is calling the URL mon URL download file A and the same random characters till that URL. So this is what I need to copy once again and append it here, and I need to add the URL. Then subsequent things are same till the closed bracket. So this is the sentence here. It is simply giving a condition, and if the condition is true, it is calling this specific URL download file A. And if you don't have an idea what is URL download file A, you can read by using the Google URL download to file A. If you see this specific blog of SANS, you can understand what is file download A. I am scrolling to bottom, and here I can see URL download to file A. So the same function, the same sort of call function, it is calling URL1, URL download to file A, the random characters, and later it denotes the URL and the path where the file to be stored, and 00 they are closing the bracket. So here you can see the macros tries to download the second payload from different sites and executes it. So the same sort of behavior we can see here. It is using the same sort of function to download from various locations, various URLs, and storing it as dan.ocx. If I scroll further, I can see the same statement here, the URL. At the end, if I clean all the stuffs given here for all these URLs, I'll be getting the output like, let me clear all these things and try to demonstrate it in a similar format like this. It eventually will look like this. So here the sentence is same, only the URL is different. It is probing these different 6 URLs and putting the downloaded content as a file dan.ocx. It is storing it as .ocx file, and if you see the last line here, there is another if condition closing, uh, executing the the execution function, and it is referring regsvr32.exe and dan.ocx, the downloaded file. Actually, this particular line simply the execution. Once the file is downloaded and stored as dan.ocx, this specific line is executing that ocx file with help of this specific utility. Okay, this is what this specific all cell probing stuff denotes. Actually, this method is pretty neat and pretty slick. So let's try to probe these URLs and understand what sort of output we are getting. I'm using wget utility to probe this. Hmm, connected. Still the status is same. I'm not getting any output. This URL might be not sharing any file. So I'm simply aborting this, and let me try the next URL, wget. It downloaded a file, but here I can see it gives me 403 forbidden error, and the file name is index.html. If I use Firefox to open that file, index.html, I can see it is simply the forbidden page, nothing apart from that. And let me move to the next URL, indianbusinessclub.org. Let me use wget against this. Oh, here it is. It is giving something. A file is being downloaded. and I can see the file name index.html.1. So let me check what sort of file it is. Uh, I'm using file utility to check this. Yeah, it is PE32 executable. Finally, we found some spooky stuff. This specific URL, the third URL, is giving a DLL file. Uh, it must be a malicious DLL. So let me rename this file. So I'm renaming it as loaded.dll. All right. Now I'm removing the earlier downloaded index.html file. All right. Now let me check the next URLs. Error 4410 gone. So it is no longer sharing any stuff. The next one, yeah, it is giving something. Again, I'm using file utility. Again, we downloaded a DLL file here. So I'm renaming this file as well as loaded underscore 2.dll. Perfect. I am removing once again that index.html file. All right. Now let me try the last URL that we have. Even this file, this URL is giving something. So let me check. Yeah, once again it is DLL, and I am moving this DLL file into loaded underscore 3.dll. Perfect. Now we got three DLLs from these three URLs. I'm just checking whether these files are same or not. So I'm using loaded star to represent all the files, and the hashes are different, totally different. So these files are different, but let me check its size. ls-la star.dll. Um, Interestingly, the file size is same, but the file hashes are different. However, let's try to upload these files in VirusTotal and see what is the what sort of DLL it is. What is the malware that we are dealing with? All right. Now I came to my base machine and choosing the file to upload. First, let me upload the first DLL, and here it is. Uh, Almost 15 vendors out of 68 detected as malware, and if I see its malware type, it is Emotet. It is Emotet malware, and we are dealing with Emotet. If I go to community, it is also classified it as Emotet. Emotet is one of the popular and well-known notorious malwares, and it is used for loading some other malwares. And let me try to upload the next DLL. Once again, multiple vendors detected, and again it is Emotet. If I go to community, same integer flagged it as Emotet. Even Joe Sandbox flagged it as Emotet. So catch, let me check another DLL, the third DLL. Once again, the same outcome. And what sort of, yeah, this is again Emotet. So from here, we can simply say our specific Excel sample simply loads malicious Emotet DLLs. And since these files are not in .NET assembly, we cannot use ILSpy or DNSpy to dissect the DLL and understand its behavior. In this case, it is Intel 80386 processor, and we might require the disassemblers like IDA Pro or some Ghidra or some Cutter or some other binary ninja kind of disassemblers to dissect this sample. And I'm just trying to learn that. And I wish to showcase one more thing here. You can see this particular regsvr32.exe, the utility being abused to run this particular DLL file. Why? Why this particular utility is being used? What sort of utility it is? So let's try to learn something about this. I found a blog related to this utility. So let me showcase that bleeping computer blog that I found. It's a recent blog. Qbot Lokibot malware switch back to Windows regsvr32 delivery. So here they gave the method of, how the threat actors abusing this regsvr32 utility to spread the malware. And malware distributors have turned an older trick to known as Squiblydoo. So that is the trick named as Squiblydoo to spread Qbot and Lokibot via Microsoft Office document using regsvr32.exe. A report from threat research team at security analytics platform Optics shows that the use of regsvr32.exe has been spiking for past couple of months, occurring via various documents format, mainly Excel files. And this blog is recent blog, published on February 10th, 2022. So we are also, we have just dealt with the same kind of sample. So here I can see the return of Squiblydoo. The method is called Squiblydoo. Um, the method of abusing regsvr32 utility. And regsvr32 is a Windows command line utility used for registering and registering OLEs, DLLs in the registry. The threat actors abuse the utility not for making registry modifications but for loading COM scriptlets from a remote source using DLLs. And for this purpose, they use regsvr32 to register OCX files, which are special purpose software modules that can call ready-made components such as DLLs. Here they are referring the OCX file. Even uh, while we dissect the sample, even we found the specific file DLL is being stored as .ocx file. So the same sort of approach used by the specific emoted sample, Squibbly-Do. And if I scroll a little bit further, the technique is called Squibbly-Do and it's been employed in malware dropping operations since 2017. So it's quite old method for deploying malware. And the above mentioned provides good evasion of malware payload because Reg SVR32 is Windows tool used for multiple routine operations. And I wish to inform one more thing about this Reg SVR32 utility. It is living off the land binary, which is used in Windows operating systems. So let me go to that living off the land binary site, LOLBAS. So here I can see the binary regsvr32.exe functions AWL bypass and execute used by Windows to register DLLs. So that is the purpose of this utility, and it is often used by Windows operating system. And you can see the directory Windows sys ww64. And if I see this path, it is same. So it is using this utility. By using it, it is registering all the DRLs. I mean, all the DLLs. It is being download. I mean, it is downloading. If I scroll down a little bit further, I can see its MITRE attack ID as well. The technique ID executes code from remote scriptlet, bypass other application with whitelisting, privilege required, user privilege is enough, and the supported operating system is given here. Even if I go to this MITRE attack page to learn more about this technique, Squiblydoo. Signed binary proxy execution. And adversaries may abuse regsvr32.exe to proxy execution of malicious code. Regsvr32.exe is a command line program used to register and unregister object linking and embedding controls (OLE), and including DLLs, dynamic link libraries, and also Microsoft signed binary. So here is the MITRE tactic. So we also analyzed the simple Excel and we found some cell address reference, and we probed the cell values by using a Python program. And again, it was a heavy obfuscation, pretty neat. I mean, it was pretty neatly obfuscated, and we tried to uncover it by using the Python program with the help of Python. And once we found the value, we got literally shocked by seeing the list of URLs was probing, and we individually probed all those URLs, and we found out of 6 there were 3 URLs downloading the DLLs which were still active, and we downloaded all those DLLs and we uploaded the DLLs into VirusTotal and found what sort of malware it is. It was Emotet, and also we found it is using the utility regsvr32.exe, and it is storing all the files as dan.ocx. It is stored in, I mean, it is storing in the format of .ocx, and we have gone through the recent blog in Bleeping Computer where other malwares utilize the same utility. They abuse the same utility to load the malware, and even in this emoted case, the same thing happened. Uh, this is what I wanted to showcase. I'm just trying to get familiar with the reverse engineering. So once I get to know something, some concepts in reverse engineering, probably I will try to disassemble that DLL, and I can try to explain what the DLL is exactly doing. And yeah, this is what I wanted to showcase, and hopefully we have learned one of the techniques that is being used by the malware Emotet, and hope you really enjoyed this. If you really did, hit the like button and consider subscribing my channel. You can also put your opinion in the comment section. I'll be reading those and I'll be responding. And if you wish, you can share this video among your friends. I'll catch you next time with another excellent video. Until then, I'm signing off. Take care, guys. Cheers. Love you.